Thank you to Mr. Jim Dallenberg, who said our opening prayer. We are opening with our second session of the Noble Quran with Dr. Dalton Garris. So Dalton, whenever you're ready, please.
Well, let's see now. This is, if I can get, there we go. Let's just go over, this is the Zoom class syllabus, and you may download this at one of two places. I have put it in a blog spot called Agent Behind the Change.blogspot.com, and you'll find it in there if you go to the right under pages. The other place I put it is in Google Drive. And so it's in there also. And I'll get the link to that. I believe I have it somewhere, but I'll try to get it and put it in chat. So I'll leave it in chat for you. So this is our syllabus for Quran 2022 Zoom class syllabus. And let's just go over a few things that I probably messed up on last week because I was so disorganized at the first meeting. No prior experience or study of the Quran is assumed or required. While you may use your own Quran, your own version, for instance, the Mustafa Ali or any of the others, Yusuf Ali, I mean, Mustafa Ali is Cat Stevens. Yusuf Ali, the one I recommend is the Noble Quran, and you can have that online too. I'm going to show you where that is online in just a minute, or you can buy it either from Darussalam, as you see here, .com, and that's they're in Houston, and they usually get it to you without 5 or 6 days. You can also get it from the bookstore, the online bookstore, Amazon. Yeah, here's Agent Behind the Change. That's down there. I've put the entire PDF file of the Quran, the Noble Quran, in the blog spot and also in the drive, in the Google Drive, so that you can look at it. And in a moment, I'm going to show you what it looks like, because we're going to go through a little bit so you can get an idea of it. The reason I really hope that you will use the Noble Quran is a couple of reasons. Is it the best translation? No, it's pretty choppy and clumsy at parts. But what it has in it, and what the others do not, it has all the associated hadiths. Now, what a hadith is a saying or story about the Prophet or from the Prophet concerning the Prophet Muhammad. That wasn't included in the Quran. The Quran is the book of God. Every word of it is revealed by God. But there are also things after the Quran. For instance, when you, as we explained last week, if you have the 4 Gospels, which are the sayings of Christ Jesus, and then you have, for instance, books of Timothy and St. John the Divine, et cetera, et cetera. So it's sort of like that. The hadith sort of fill things out. All right, so then we're only going to be looking at a couple of chapters. Well, not a couple, so some subset of chapters. There's no way we can do all of them. There are 114 in there, so we can't do all of them. But what we are trying to do is to grab the main themes of the Quran as they have been revealed in this day, as they have not been revealed prior to this day. That's very important. So those who are not aware of the new revelations of this day and the new discoveries in the Quran of this day, they may know the Quran backwards and forwards, and many do. In fact, many have memorized it end to end, word for word, which is easier in Arabic if you speak Arabic and in the Arabic than it is in the English, because it's much more flowing and poetic in the Arabic. Seems to stick together or hang together a little better in persons' minds. In fact, where I live in Abu Dhabi for a while, if you had murdered somebody, that's that's life in prison. But if you memorize the Quran, you get out in 4 years. So, all right. But they will not know what we can know. And the reason we can know this is because in this day, the books have been unsealed. Refer yourself to the 2 books in the Bible, the last page of the book of Daniel and the book of Revelations in the New Testament, to find out why and how this is. Okay, the first meeting we had, our first discussion was an introduction, a little background, mention of the abjad method of counting and using letters. We didn't do that, so let's do that right now. In Arabic and also in Persian, and also I think in Urdu, letters can stand for numbers as well. So for instance, we know that the word Baha has a numerical value of 9. Ba has something and Ha has something. And it goes all the way through Wahid, which means one, Wahid, which is comprised of Waw, Ha, and Dad, makes 19. And 19 is a fabulous number that we'll see all through the Quran. And also, of course, it's the foundation number for the Baha'i calendar that we use, 19 months of 19 days, as we Baha'is use. And 19 is, in many different places, it's quite an interesting number, used as sort of a code. So Wahid means 19, and Wahid, the word, means one. So 19 is one, is what it's saying. In other words, in this day, there will be one religion spoken from God to all mankind, or that's one of the things you may come pull from that if you want to. So then meeting 2, that's today, we're going to have the Hadith. Now let's have a look here. It says Hadith 1437. Now what we mean is this: if you go to the book, the Noble Quran, and you have your copy of it, and let me get that up for you right now. Let's see if I can have it. Here, for instance, is the website. Now, here's the website. You can just go to Quran.com/English. And this is the different ones. So here we have a Quran, and you can just go through Al-Baqarah, you can Al-Fatiha, which is and how many verses, ayah is a verse, and the surah is the chapter. And you can go through and you can have it read to you. Using the microphone, the radio that they have here, or you can read it yourself. So that's one place. Now here's the My Drive that I talked about, and here is, if you can see this. Can everybody see this? Are you looking at it? Do this or do this. Do this or do this. Don't do anything? Okay, well, I'll assume you're seeing it then. This is Quran Studies. And we go to here, and as you can see, this is a drive.google.com. And then it will have, and anyone who gets to here can link and see these things. And in Quran Study, you will have many things. There is converted Quran to a Word document. So the whole Quran is converted to a Word document. And then you have the Noble Quran translation, the number 19 discussed, complete version in 157 presentations, et cetera, et cetera. So that's that. Let me pull this down because I'm not sure that you can see it. And none of you were all too reticent to give me an answer. So, okay. Now, let's look at the Quran. You can see that? Yes, I see it. Thank you very much. Great. Then this is what you get. It's going to look like this. And this is the PDF. You download the PDF if you want to. It's very large, so don't try sending it to anyone because it's about 235 megabytes. And I think your phone will only send like 35 gigs. So, all right, so this is it. As you can see, the pages here. this is the page here. This is the one, Dr. Muhammad Taqi Uddin al-Hilal and Dr. Muhammad Muhsin Khan.
Doc Dalton, excuse me, but we're not seeing that. All we're seeing is the list of meetings and what you're going to cover at each meeting.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay, well, let me
Yeah.
put this down. I apologize. Now do you see it? Wait a minute. Now do you see it?
No,
Yes and no?
no.
You don't see it?
No.
It's- Wow, I'm so sorry about that. Because I put share, I hit share on here. And wait a minute, maybe I'll put new share. I'll put this one. What about now?
Now we see the cover page for the Noble
Okay,
Quran
good.
in
So
English.
let's roll down. Now I've learned my lesson here, and I'll be a little more careful. So this is it, and the 1999 edition, and it has all these things in it. These are the seals and symbols that you get that are put on by certain persons of noted knowledge. They gotta say, yep, this is the Quran. Same the way you get a marriage license, I guess. And so as we go down here, in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, which in Arabic is Bismillahi Rahmani Rahim. And then there's the foreword. So we go to that. Then after that, we move along and we finally get to the Noble Quran. Here's some more descriptions and analysis. And now I believe we come finally to the first page. Yes. And that will begin on page 1. Good. Then we have Surah Al-Fatiha, the opening, it says. In the name of Allah, Bismillah. Now here is the Arabic right across from it. So if you're working with someone and the person says, yeah, but that's not really what God said, you have to look at the Arabic. Oh, how about this? Oh, yeah, okay. So that'll work. And you'll get work done that way. And so we did this last week. Then we have all these notes down here that you don't get if you have other translations of the Quran. And that's why I wanted you to have this one. And these move on. They are the, and then it continues on the next page, continuing to talk about it. They're the Jews, etc., went away. And then there's more stuff narrated by, and these are persons who compiled hadiths. They are the ones who compiled the sayings of the messenger. We'll just call him the prophet, or also things concerning him, narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar, the prophet, met Zaid bin Divine bin Nufal. Bin means of, like I'm Dalton, of Flushing, of Queens, of New York City, of the United States. So that works. And then it says the prophet, the meal was presented to him, etc. Wonderful stories in here. They are very illustrative and they give you a real sense. A lot of things are filled in that otherwise you would go, you wouldn't really understand it. Now, the next surah that we begin, and we'll begin it next week if we don't have time this week, is called the Surah of the Cow, Surah al-Baqarah. That's the longest surah in the Quran, and it also has the longest verse in the Quran, which has to do with, guess what? Business, writing business contracts. Can you believe it? The Quran was big on business. It was big on investments and little on borrowing. He said, borrow very infrequently and very carefully, but go ahead and do investments. Investments are okay because of what you understand about. We'll get to that. So then this moves on. Now, if I go to, I don't know if I can move quickly through this thing or I just got to keep going all the way down. What if I went down to here? Will that work? No. Okay. Well, what I would like to do would be to go all the way down to a certain page. Aha. So here, now remember I said that the thing we're going to do today, Prophet Ibrahim, it comes from it comes from a certain place. Let me go back to that because we won't need this. Well, I'll see if I can leave it up for now go to new share and go to okay, we'll just hang with this here. I believe it's down here. New share. Gee. Hold and shift to select multiple windows. Gee, really? Okay, we'll try that. Hold and shift. Hold, shift. Hold, shift. Nah, okay, never mind. Anyway, what I'm going to do is the story of Ibrahim. We're going to do that today, and we have that. I think I have to put this down for now. So we'll drop this for now. And here, do you see this now? Wait. You got it?
We have Surah 2 on Baqarah.
Okay. How about that?
There we go.
Hey, you see it now?
Yep.
Prophet Ibrahim Hajar come to Mecca and build the Kaaba. You see that?
Yes.
Good. Thank you. That's what I need. I need a visual clue. All right, now. This, you'll see this, it says version 2, V2, volume 2, colon 127. That is the hadith. That is, it's in the second volume of Al-Baqarah, number 127. Salih al-Bukhari, I'm not Al-Baqarah, excuse me. Salih al-Bukhari, who put together the most of these hadiths. Volume 4, hadith number 583. Where is it? You can see that it will be, you'll find it where there is a reference to it. Volumes, it says here, it will be in volume. Let's see, where do I put it? When we talk, when it is discussed, Ibrahim, Surah 14 is the prophet Ibrahim. And then at the verse 24, there will be, let's see, is that the one? No. Verse 14, and this is verse 37. Verse 37 in Surah 14, chapter 37, verse 37. Chapter 14, verse 37. O our Lord, I have made some of my offspring to dwell in an uncultivable valley by your sacred house, in order, our Lord, that they may perform prayers. Fill some hearts among men with love towards them. All right, that's 37. Now, if you look at the bottom of the page, this is page 364. You don't need to do it now, but you can mark it down. Page 364. You go to the bottom of the page and you will see in parentheses where it says V1437, that is verse 1437, the story of the building of the Kaaba at Mecca. And this goes on, there's a lot of notes here, and they go on for a long time, several pages in small print. The reason that I'm discussing it now is two things. You're ready for it. And also, it describes the preaching and the spread of Islam throughout the world. It's quite interesting, the mysteries that are in it. We pull that out. I don't believe persons of past dispensations who haven't heard of the dispensation of the Book of Certitude or Kitab Yagan by Baha'u'llah are capable of it. But let's figure out who we have here. Abraham, Prophet Abraham. And I think I misspelled that. Okay. Hagar, H-A-G-G-A-R. I think it's H-A-G-A-R, Hagar. That should be G, Dalton. There you go. Okay, save it. Thank you. So, Hagar, come to Mecca, or where Mecca will be, nearby Mecca, to build the Kaaba. Now, what's the Kaaba? That's the great shrine in Mecca that you see on YouTube and other places where persons are circumambulating it. And that's inside is the black stone. And we'll have much more to say about that later. That stone is thought to be the stone on which Abraham almost sacrificed Ishmael before they heard a lamb bleeding that had caught its hoof between the rocks. Now, Ishmael, yes, Isaac wasn't born yet. And it says in the Bible, his firstborn, Ishmael. So Sarah was jealous of Hagar. And so Hagar, who was a slave, was kicked out. Abraham took her to the end of the desert with the little Ishmael and gave them a jug of water and said, "I'm sorry," and turned his back on them and walked away. And she finally said, "Is this something God has asked you to do?" He said, "Yes." And then she said, "Then we'll be okay." So then you can read all this, but oh, Abraham, where are you going, leaving us in this valley where there is no person whose company we may enjoy, nor is there anything to enjoy? She repeated, but he did not look at her. Then she said, as we just talked about, and he faced the Kaaba, the direction of prayer, and raising both hands, invoked God, saying the following supplication. "O our Lord, I have made some of my offspring to dwell," and we just read that part. Surah Ibrahim, verse 37. Now she can't find water. Pretty soon the skin runs out of water. So there's no more water. And she runs to one side of the hill and to the other side and trying to see between two hilltops, trying to see if she can find anybody because she's getting pretty desperate. So finally, she left Ishmael on the ground because she couldn't bear to hear him suffering anymore. And then she went to the mountain of As-Safa, the nearest mountain. She stood there and looked. She couldn't see anybody. So this is the source of the tradition of Sa'i, the going of people who are on pilgrimage, going between the mountains, Marwa and Safa. So finally, she heard a voice, actually, let me see, let me go down here. She heard a voice. The following, the recorded, well-explored history of Islam, plus the path-lighting revelation of Baha'u'llah, unsealing the divine books, allows us to speculate some justified coincidence. Behold, she saw an angel in the place of what would become Zamzam. Zamzam is a well, and that well puts out about 5,000 gallons an hour, and it has not dried up since it started, pumping water out of the earth this long time ago. It is still where it has always been, in Mecca. In fact, in the area right there where Mecca is, the Kaaba is, digging the earth with his heel. You saw them going like this. And this is where water flowed from that place. So now we have, let's look at this for a minute. What was this water that's coming out? First off, it came out from the sand. In other words, from the desert. It is the water of life, spiritual life, that came out from the desert of the Arabian Peninsula. We can put that together. That works just fine. The ownership of the water was not to be shared. She's going to claim ownership of that water. She's not going to allow, she's going to allow other people, other communities, other communions, other congregations to get the water, but not to own it. It's going to be hers. She's the only one. She will have authority over it. And she will have authority over it so that only she can say how that water is to be used. And this is sort of what we see in Islam today. Water of the Spirit, right? Isaac, okay, good. And then she started to make some, according to the Hadith, she started to make something like a basin. You know, it gets a little muddy there, so she makes a basin. And it says, had she not made a basin and done that, the water would have flowed over the entire earth. What's the basin, friends? What could the basin be? The earth of understanding. The entire earth? That means all of mankind? What could the basin be? The clergy. The clergy keeps it in, keeps it under their control. And were it not for the clergy putting their own divisions on it and looking inward and their own interpretations, this amazing Quran and the teachings of it would have covered the whole earth. But so much blood was spilled, etc. And you know the history between Christianity and Islam, etc. It didn't work out. Even among the people of the Quran, there are something like, I don't know, 600 or 700 different major divisions. And the two major divisions, Shia and Sunni, are trying to kill one another, bombing each other's places of worship. And then we read more. You can read the rest of it at your leisure, but I'll stop and take any questions now. Let me just finish this passage right here. So here it says, for instance, Abdul Baha teaches us in one of his many discussions, Abdul Baha being the son of Baha'u'llah, the messenger of God for this day, and the chosen interpreter of his faith and the center of his covenant, that had the Muslims acted as did the Christians in teaching and spreading the revelation of God in the Gospels, the whole of mankind would have become Muslim. That didn't happen. Something else happened, and it was the water of the Spirit of God was contained within a basin so that it could not flow throughout all mankind. Thus, we could be justified in believing that Hagar's action in damming up the flow of the water from the spring of Zamzam, restricting its free flow over the entire earth, is the image of how religious leaders of Islam restricted the spread of Islam and limited who could visit the Kaaba, the place of pilgrimage for the Muslims, to only those of whom they approved and were deemed true Muslims. Those accepting the clergy's inspiration of the Quran. Now, interpretation of the Quran. Now, while I was in Abu Dhabi, they built a beautiful grand mosque, a brand new one. It's the third largest in the world, gorgeous. If you want to come on any day, you can see it, visit it. If you want to come on Fridays during worship service, you got to be a Muslim. And if you go in there, they will say, "Are you Muslim?" They'll smile, they're very courteous, but they're saying, "Are you Muslim?" That is, do you call yourself a Muslim? Well, in a way, we believe totally in the Quran and everything? Yeah. Do we believe it as the clergy believes in it? No. No, we have thrown off those limitations. So in that sense, you say no. You could just recite, there is no God, but God and Muhammad is his prophet, etc. And they might say, that's good enough for me. You may come in and pray. But otherwise, you're not going to go in. Anyway, it'll be communal prayer, and we don't do communal prayer. Then the tribe of Jurhum, or Jurhum come. And the house of Kaaba at the same time was on a high place resembling a hillock. And when torrents of water came, they flowed to its right and to its left. And she lived in the way between the two. So the tribes come and they want to water their flock. And she says, sure, but you have no right to the water. I own it. Do you allow us to stay with you Yes, but you have no right to possess the water. There it is. This is the exclusionary statement. And so we've discussed it already. You may ask questions about it. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you one more thing right now because it's germane to what we're talking about. There is a verse in chapter 25, verse 30. And if I push to 25 and can just read it for you, verse 30, and if you have your books, you can do the same. If you have your Noble Quran, you can do the same. Otherwise, you can get it. 30, and the messenger will say, oh my God, verily my people deserted this Quran. They all admit to it. They say, yep, that's there, all right. My people deserted this Quran. That's pretty strong stuff. So now I might want to open it up for questions. Let me see what I have for chats here. For chats, if you have, let's see, let me look at the hands. Get the hands here. Near video participants, security, chat, voice share, remote control, participants. Okay. And let's see, we have here. There's a chat. And now, let me see. Here's a hand here. Susan Brittner.
Yes,
Okay.
thanks, Dalton. I don't know if anybody else's book is like this or not. I just got mine last year when we started this class originally. And the page numbers that I'm following everything you're saying, but the page numbers that you said it's on are not the same as the page numbers in my book. So I don't know if it's confusing anybody else or not.
Okay. You're using the Noble Quran, the one I just showed, the PDF, the one I just showed.
Well, I'm in the actual book, yes, the Noble Quran.
Okay. So
by Dar Salaam Publications.
I'm
also have the
having
same problem.
the same-
Others have the same
yes.
problem. Okay, well, that's very interesting. Let me see if you have, all right, let me grab one of the other the page numbers should be the same.
They're not.
I'm really, yeah, go ahead.
Dalton, what I did on mine, when I got mine, is I numbered the surahs. And I think, yeah, the pages are different, but if you just go to the surah, you can follow it. So
Right,
I've been able
okay.
to follow what you're doing.
Can everybody hear that?
Yes.
Right, and that's what I was doing as well, but I just thought if there are people trying to pay attention to the page number and their book isn't matching, for it might be a little confusing for people.
That's just very strange.
Mhm.
Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
says
Yeah.
part 1, and it says 5. So if I go to part 1, 5,
Dalton, ours is saying page 13, but yeah, we
it's saying 13. It says Noble Quran, it's saying 13. Well,
That's because
Isn't that
in the one
special?
up there, the one he's showing, page 1 starts, I think, with the actual Quran, whereas in my book, page 1 is actually the pages start with all the pre stuff.
Yes,
and
that's
then-
right. I mean, if you go to here and you roll
Yeah.
down,
Mhm.
okay, contents, this thing here,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah,
Forward,
see, all that's
ID.
numbered, those are page numbers. They're not Roman numeral numbers in our
Yeah.
books.
Okay, now here it says part 1, page 1.
No,
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
you
but
don't
ours is
have,
page-
it says right in that box, some other number. Is that so?
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
page 13.
13.
It must be a new, newer edition. And they somehow have expanded it and added more things or something or other to the
Yeah.
prefix and to the introduction. And that's why we end up with 1.3 instead of 1. So mine says one. Let me see. Right. Yes. I have here part 1, Surah Al-Fatiha. This is not 1. I have page 11. Does anyone have page 11 for this?
Yes.
That's what I have. Page
Okay.
11.
Anyone have another number?
13.
Isn't that something? Okay, well, it depends upon, I guess this was an older version or an online version, and so the numbers don't coincide. But I'll give you, because I have the actual book here, so I can just read it out. Mine starts on page 11, Surat al-Fatiha. So we read that last week. So does anyone have any questions on what we looked at last week? No? Well, think about them if you do. I see a hand here, Susan. Susan
Going
Brittner.
forward, if you can refer to the verse number, then we can all follow.
Sure, okay.
what
Well,
you're referring.
right, okay, very good. Well, we haven't started on the second surah yet, so we don't have any verse numbers. We are still looking at this other thing, which was what we were going through.
Could you give us the link for that again, Dalton?
Yeah, just a sec. You want the old one back again?
The one that was like, not that one, but the other one, sir?
The other one, yeah, I was going to get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, the opening is.
This one here?
Yeah, please, that one. The link, no, the link, how to get that, how to pull that up on.
Okay, I'm going to, it's in the notes and everything that are bundled. They are bundled in either agent behind the change.blogspot.com
Oh, okay.
or the, let me go here to just a second. Let me go here just 1 second to get this up a minute. All right. I'm going to put this, just forgive me for a second. I'm going to give you the link to where the drive is. I'm going to copy this. And now I guess what I do is to put that link in chat. Does that work? Let me see. I go to chat and I write something in and I put for everybody.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Dalton, I've already
What is it?
typed in agent beyond the
Where?
change.blogspot.
Just a minute, but it's just giving me the persons here, participants. I'm not getting, apparently I'm not able to check here. Let's try this. All right. Type message. Here it is. Paste. Now there it is. If you all, can you all copy that as you see it there in chat?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you do that?
Try.
If you can
Yes.
copy it as you see it there in chat.
Yes.
All right,
Mhm.
then what you're going to do is you're going to end up in, let me go back to share screen. I'll show you. Just a minute. Gracious. Share screen. Here we go. Desktop one whiteboard. All right, here it is. Now then, this is Quran Study. My drive, Quran Studies 2022. So that's there's your anchor point right there. Quran Study 2022, Quran Study 2022, then converted Quran to Word. This is a Word file of the Quran that we have here. The Noble Quran translation, or translation, there's another example of it. Here is a document on the number 19 and how important it is. This is a complete version. Let's see, for instance, if I click on this complete version, what this has in it is all the chapters in the Quran. I have done actually in a longer one. We started this in New York City at the Baha'i Center here in New York City. And so we studied the whole Quran, and over a period of about a couple of years, I was able to produce a couple of pages of notes for each one that we looked at. And so here they all are, 157 presentations, each one with their own notes. And then this is another one here, which has exploration, et cetera, et cetera. This is an earlier one, 2019. You might get something out of that. Then this is the one we did last year. And this is a very interesting one that I wanted to put in here. I don't know if it'll come up, but all right, I'll get it for you. It's just one verse of the Quran. It says, "And with hands did we create the heavens." And people have wondered, what is that? What does it mean, with hands we created the heavens? It's written right in the Quran. What could it possibly mean? Any guesses? Any ideas?
No.
What did you say last?
Answer the cause.
Yes.
It sounds like it's in reference to Baha'u'llah. And
Hands of the cause of God
Because of God. Awesome.
are building the heavens of what?
Now, the kingdom.
Heavens of God's knowledge. Yeah. And what is this? This is dirt. The earth of understanding. The earth is our capacity to understand. And he spread out a new heaven and a new earth. Okay, making sense now, is it? And I mean, when I first got this stuff, I fell out of my chair, literally. I mean, I had to put my head between my knees. This stuff is just astounding when you get right down to it. Just stunning. So let's go back to here.
I have a
Yeah.
question before you get too far.
Yes, please, go
Are
ahead
you-
with the question.
Will you be sharing that, those documents in Google Drive? Will you share with all of us?
Oh, yeah, anybody who hits Google Drive will be able to get it. It's
Well,
not,
I'm looking on Google Drive and I don't see it.
Did you go to the Google Drive link I just gave you? It's not there?
Well, I can't click on a link, but,
Okay, well,
no, I don't see the link. I see Agent Beyond the Change blog spot.
right, no, I just pasted a link into today's chat.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat
Okay, you're looking at the chat.
and somebody else asked the same thing. How do we get to the Google Drive?
And there's a
Right
note.
here.
that says-
This
it says-
doesn't work. You
Yeah.
see, copy it. Okay, I'm going to copy it right now. And then let me just paste it into mine and see if I get any results.
Huh.
No, that's not what I wanted. I'm in. So, all right, we'll have to sort that out a little better.
Maybe you can send it via email. Netta can send it via email.
Well, I can do any way you want. As many emails as I receive, I will send it to them. But let's just have one more look at it to see if it looks okay. Now, here is what it is. Right here. Drive, google.com, Drive, folders.
Well, you're pointing to the hadith.
I'm pointing to chat.
Well,
This thing here, https://drive.google.com.
the link
Right.
does not show in the chat. We can't copy it from the chat. No, the link is not in the chat. And the
Correct.
one that Netta posted needs to have a .com on the end of it, or it won't work either.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me copy this
Okay.
and see where I can put it. Let me kill this. Can
Yeah, I
you
think
see
it-
this page now?
No,
No.
Okay, let me go back to where you can see a page and I will drop it in. Just a moment.
Now, if we could just get it by email, that'd probably be good.
Okay, that'll work too.
Oh,
Understand why I can't get this.
I think all you have to do is Google Age Beyond the Change and you can.
That'll work, but here's another way. Let me just do this. Can you copy from this page?
Dalton, Deborah also has her hand raised.
oh, that was me talking. I'm
Oh,
gonna
okay.
take-
Thank you.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
Deborah.
yeah. I see it.
Can you see this now?
Yes, now I can, yeah. Let me
Yeah,
take
but
a
it
Can you
can't-
copy that from the,
No.
can you copy that from your screen?
No,
Yeah,
you
leave-
can't,
picture of it.
you
If
can't
you
click
leave-
on it.
If you leave that.
I
up
know
for
you
about
can't click on it, but can you copy it? For instance, let me do this.
I took a picture of it.
Yeah, I think
Copy.
that's-
Okay, now I will go to my web browser and I will paste this in and let me see if that works.
see.
Hit enter. Yes, comes right up. So if you just drag your cursor over that to make it, and then as you have all that gathered, you hit copy, and that'll put it on your pegboard or whatever they call it, on your computer. Then you go to any empty place, a new tab in your browser, and you paste that in and hit enter. That's all you have to do, and you get right to it.
For us, that page isn't live. I just did a screenshot of it, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
try to,
We're not able to enable our cursor to copy it.
Oh, yeah, Dalton, they're not. able to-
Oh, they can't do that.
They're not able to.
I'm so
copy.
sorry.
Yeah,
I am-
I'll retype it for everybody. Just keep it there. I'll retype it for everybody.
I'm so sorry. You know, when you get old,
Thank
you
you.
get kind of twisted up with all this new stuff. I'll sort it out for you for next time. But anyway, you at least have agent behind the change. And it's in there.
If you
I'll
would,
make sure it's in there in the pages. Okay,
if you would just
Hey.
copy it into an email to Netta, then she can.
I'll be
just
glad to.
post it.
Email me and I'll email you the link.
Yeah.
Okay, as many emails as I get, I will.
I just
will,
sent it to you. I just sent it to you in the chat, friends. Just go ahead and there you go. You have it now in the chat. Thank you.
Oh,
Well,
great.
what is your email?
I'll type
Well,
that in the chat for you as well. Thank you, friends. Go ahead, Dalton.
Okay, good. All right, let's move on. So then we have, let me get this out of here. Okay.
Netta, the chat, that link didn't work for me.
It doesn't work, no.
All right,
Oh, gee.
but we can see this, can we? Can
Yes.
you all see this now? This page?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, excellent. Okay. So here, we just went over this. Oh God, verily, my people have deserted this Quran. Similarly, most of the Quran discusses this very subject of the people blindly following
Copy that.
their religious leaders and imitating them in refusing to accept the validity of any messenger of God that would come after His Holiness Muhammad. His Holiness Baha'u'llah points that out when he says, have you read the Surah of Hud, which is the 11th Surah? If you haven't, no doubt you will.
Take a picture. Just take a picture.
Can you mute yourselves now, friends? Now that questions have stopped for now. Please mute yourselves. Although your coughing is very harmonious. So then, And this is what we have that His Holiness Baha'u'llah talks about. This quote, he talks about this quote, which is 40:34 in the Quran, 40:34, chapter 40, verse 34. And listen to what it says. And this gets right, this pertains directly to the story that we're unfolding, that is being unfolded to us here about the building of the Kaaba in Mecca. And indeed, Joseph did come to you in times gone by with clear signs, but you ceased not to doubt in that which he did bring you. Till when he died, you said, no messenger will come, will God send after him. Thus Allah leaves astray him who is musrif, a polytheist, an oppressor, a criminal sinner, a committer of great sins, and a murtab, one who doubts God's warning and his oneness. Quran 40:34. This verse encapsulates the entire cause and thesis of what the messengers have been telling mankind from the first Adam to the last Baha'u'llah. Just think about it. They all say the same thing. Ours is the last. Ours is the last. That hits the Muslims hardest because while Christians and Jews must admit there may be little differences in the way the Bible was written down or collated or whatever, Muslims can say with complete certainty, no, this Quran is word for word the revelation of God. Not one word has been changed since it was first revealed. It has been compiled, and since that time, nothing has changed. That increases the burden of following the next manifestation who is announced in the Quran even more. And that increases the burden of going astray from that Quran even more. There's no excuse then. But as His Holiness Baha'u'llah says, there's no excuse for any of them. People can't say, for instance, that, well, the Bible isn't accurate, so really, so how could God hold mankind to account for not accepting His Holiness Muhammad if the book he had left with them was considered inaccurate? And there'd be no blame on them. There'd be no way to do it. You see what I'm driving at? Okay. Then so after Ishmael's mother had died, Ibrahim came along after Ishmael, and to see the family. Ishmael had a wife, see the family. This is very interesting. Now we learn how even in some speech, guarded speech, these sort of alliterations and allusions were used by the people. Abraham asked where Ishmael was, and where is Ishmael? He didn't announce himself. He didn't say, I'm your father-in-law. He just said, where's Ishmael? He's out trying to get some livelihood. How are you doing here? How is your life? Our life is terrible. It's just no good at all. All we have are these things to eat here, and he's a poor provider, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, well, when Ishmael comes back, please tell him to change the threshold in this house, okay? Okay, take care. Change the threshold in the house. What's the threshold? The wife. So then he marries another one. He sends her back home. He tells her, that was my father. Who did any visitors come? Yes, an old man came. He asked about you. Do you have anything to say? No, he just said, change the threshold to the house. That was my father, and I'm going to send you back to your people, which he did. Then he got another wife. She was very pleased with things. Again, Abraham came and the same scene was repeated. This time he said, tell Ishmael to strengthen the threshold of the house. It's a good threshold, but just strengthen it, support it. So when Ishmael came back, she related to him what had happened, and he said that was my father, and he is very pleased with you. Any questions? So far, so good. It's about 5:30. We started at 4:30. We have until 5:45, or I'm sorry. We started at 1/2 the hour. It's almost 1/2 the next hour, and we will stop at 3/4 the hour. So shall I, let's continue this. There's not too much more to go.
Oh, excuse me. I have a
Yes.
question about that verse about the referring to Surah 40, verse 34.
40:34, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm in an interfaith group and I see an imam all the time, and every time he sees us, he knows we're Baha'i. He says there's never going to be another,
Yeah, isn't that special?
Abraham was or I'm sorry, Muhammad was the last
That's the
messenger.
last one. And
And,
he goes, yeah, go ahead.
But
Sorry.
I'm not sure. I mean, if I get really into this conversation or wanted to with him, I'm not sure that's going to happen, but I don't understand from this summary here how this refers to the last. That says no messenger will Allah send after him.
Yeah,
He's talking about Joseph.
right. But
You're saying that.
it pertains to all the people. Christians said exactly the same thing. And
Okay.
Jews, the same thing. The Jews argued with Moses the whole time. And finally, when Moses was gone, they were so chagrined, they said, well, he's not going to, etc. So that continued. But let's go back to what the Imam said. The Imam is translating for you the Arabic word for seal. And what's he making out of it? Last. But the seal is not the last. It is and it isn't, okay? Do you want me to explain that?
Yes.
Okay. I used to teach college, taught economics. And usually undergraduate, one of the things that everybody had to take was Econ 1 and Econ 2. Econ 1 is micro and Econ 2 is macro. Most of the engineers didn't have to take 2, just 1. But persons going into the humanities or into economics, most particularly, had to take all of it, obviously. I taught both. Now, let's say that a person takes my class, takes Econ 1, microeconomics. He doesn't take any more classes. No, that's the last class he ever took in economics. So that's the last, isn't it? My class was the last class that he took. Is it the last class in existence? No, but it's the seal of his knowledge, because that's as far as he went. Now, if he comes back, what will I do? I will break the seal. I will break the seal, unseal what he knew before, and then give him more. And that's what all of them do. So when you look in Revelations, you see the 7 seals being broken. He talks about the 7 seals being broken. And in the book of Daniel, it says the books are sealed until the time of the end. So they're sealed, meaning the meaning is sealed. But the revelations of God are not sealed. They go on forever. Baha'u'llah discusses this in great detail. In fact, half of the Kitab Yaganas deals with this very topic. So this is how you can understand end and seal. Yes, it's the end if he doesn't take any more courses. If he remains a Muslim, then that's the end, and Muhammad is the end for him. But if he hears of another prophet and embraces it, that prophet coming after His Holiness Muhammad will unseal the knowledge of the Quran for him and then add to this a new revelation. And that's what His Holiness Baha'u'llah did with the Quran. And you can read about his doing that in the book of Revelations, where it talks about the 7 seals. Now, why 7 seals? Well, didn't it say that the earth was made in 6 days, and then on the 7th day, God rested from his work? What are those days really? They're not physical days. Deborah, have we done this before? Or
Yes.
who's asking me the question?
That
I'm
was,
sorry, I
yeah,
think
that was me. Yeah, I remember that. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so we discussed it before. Count with me. Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Muhammad. Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Christ, 5. Muhammad, 6. And then the Bab is the gate, neither of one or the other. So you could say the Bab is number 7, or you could say Baha'u'llah is number 7, beginning the new one, but I think it's the Bab. Because Baha'u'llah explained the Bab's dispensation also to the people of the Bayan. So then in that case, let's settle for now at least that it's the Bab was the 7th one, and he broke all those seals, meaning that he explained the meaning of each one of them. And those are the 7 seals in the 7 days. And a day with you is 1,000 years with God. It says that in the Bible and in the Quran. Don't ask me where, I can't find it for you right now. So now we have, are we satisfied with that, or do you need more?
No, I'm satisfied with, I mean, I understand the meaning. I'm just not sure if I guess he would know the Quran. So if I refer to this verse.
He knows the Quran. Yes, he knows the Quran, but the book may be sealed for him.
Ah. Okay, yeah, I don't know him well enough to.
Okay, well, let me grab this. Let me grab this here. This is a copy of the Book of Certitude. You see that? Kitab Yagan? No, of course not. Anyway, it's the Kitab Yagan. I'm just going to read the first paragraph. Very short. No man shall attain the shores of the ocean of true understanding, except he be detached from all that is in heaven and on earth. Sanctify your souls, O ye peoples of the world, that haply ye may attain the station which God hath destined for you, etc., etc. That means that if you hold on to the traditions of the past, there's no way that you can understand it. You can understand it only so far as the limited traditions allow you to. Is that clear? Or understandable or something?
Yep.
Okay. It's the same with all the religions. The religious leaders have bound human beings up hand and foot so that when the next manifestation of God comes, the humans don't accept it. And why do they do that? Well, a couple of reasons. One, obviously, is because they have lack of understanding. But what's another reason? They're going to lose their jobs.
Exactly. Power.
They're going to lose their career. Yes, and that's another thing, power. What's the difference between religion and religious ideology? Religious ideology wants to get power and maintain power. What does true religion actually want to do? Inform.
Advance humanity.
Yes, to educate, to inform, and then leave it to you to decide what you want to do with the information you just received. Same as science. It instructs, that's all. It doesn't want power. It doesn't seek power. And that's the difference. You can tell that right away. If you use that standard, you can tell right away the difference between something that's like a true religion or a true science and something that's an ideology, a man-made, human-made structure. Okay. Afterwards, Messiah Ishmael. Okay. Oh, Ishmael, Allah has given me an order. Do what your Lord has ordered you to do, Ibrahim said. I'm sorry, Ishmael said. Ibrahim asked, will you help me? Well, of course I will. And so it goes, and we're supposed to build a house here. We're going to build a house for the Kaaba. It will cover this sacred spot. And this is, oh, our Lord, accept this service from us. Verily, you are the all-hearer, the all-knower. And that's chapter 2, verse 127. So then both of them went on building around the Kaaba, saying, oh, our Lord, accept this service from us. Verily, you are the hearer, the knower. And that's as we just said. So the building, both their work and toil and emerging structure itself, can be thought of as the coming establishment of Islam as a great world religion, uniting much of mankind in one common belief, albeit internally divided by schisms. The greatest schism occurred immediately upon the ascension of His Holiness Muhammad, while his blessed body was still warm. He asked for a pen in order to write his instruction as to who would lead the faith after his passing. And nobody would give him a pen. And why do you suppose that might be? They didn't want to be written out of the will. Thus it was decreed, no written will from the messenger of God would be manifested in the dispensation of Islam. Nevertheless, God showered his grace upon his people for more than 1,000 years until, quote, the year 60. That is 1260 on the Arabic or on the Muslim calendar. It's obvious that he did shower his blessings on them. Abdul Baha explains this, the center of the covenant explains this and says, even though great sin has taken place by Muslims within Islam, still the rain fell on all alike. It fell from the sky on all alike. And those who had spiritual capacity filled up their cistern to the brim. If they had a large cistern, they had large spiritual capacity, they got a lot from them. If a small one, limited, then just a small amount. We read about that also too in Gleanings. Okay, I'd like to open it up for questions now. We have about 7 more minutes or thereabouts. So please raise your hand. Is this Derek? Do you have your hand up? Here, let me get
yes,
this.
and my question concerns the schism in that my understanding, I think it's in the Kitab-i-Khan, is that the Shiites were the legitimate, or because they're the ones who followed Ali, were the legitimate successors. Is that correct?
Yep. They followed Ali, the others followed Abu Bakr. And the ones that followed Abu Bakr, Abdul Baha explains this quite in some of his books and his tablets. But basically, the ones who followed Abu Bakr said, we have the book and the book is enough for us. And whereas the Shiites who followed Ali, accepted Ali as an imam of the faith, one of the chosen ones, there would be about 11 of these who would be chosen that would give 230 years of additional knowledge and expostulation on the Quran and Islam and how to follow the belief. And of course, they went way off at the end too, because then they started making things up as they went along after the death of the last imam. 260 years, excuse me, 260. That's how we get 1260. Okay, who's next? Deborah, you still got a question?
Yeah. I wondered, I mean, this might be radical or inappropriate, but would it, in Baha'i terms, then would the Sunnis be covenant breakers?
No, I don't think so, because since he didn't write a will, there's no way of saying that he's a covenant breaker any more than one can say that the Protestants or the Catholics or the Baptists or the Maronites or the Hutterites or Mennonites or anyone else is a covenant breaker. We got to leave that for another day when we have a certain sure will and testament. Then we know if we've broken the covenant or not, if someone has broken the covenant. And even then, it's not left up to the individuals to decide that. Only the administrative order can do that.
Okay, thank you for that. So for the friends who do not have access to chat who are watching this video, Dr. Dalton Garris's email is iqan2021@gmail.com. So that's IQANQURAN 2021@gmail.com. If there are no further questions, thank you again, Dr. Garris, for a wonderful presentation on the Noble Quran, and we will see you all. And we will see you all next week. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Aloha.
Aloha. Love you. Aloha.